Now, our next step, while we're waiting for an answer back from the county in regards to our administrative adjustment request, is to solicit the help of an architect. See, although we have a pretty good idea of the type of floor plan we want and we're able to draw that, we need to find a really solid team who has some good experience with building codes, specifically those in Maryland, since they're a lot more strict than several other states in terms of energy conservation and that type of thing. We also needed somebody who would be able to coordinate with a structural engineer to make sure our proposed new house was safe and sound. And the team would also need to be able to create the final permit drawings that will eventually be submitted to the county for approval before we begin building the house. So after interviewing several local firms, we ultimately decided to hire CADWorks out of Frederick, Maryland, which is run by Bill Ellison. And the CADWorks team has been absolutely wonderful to work with every step of the way. We had our initial drawing with the team and they had some great feedback. They looked at the first draft of our floor plan and they really understood our wish list, realized the types of things we were trying to accomplish, and had some great feedback. For example, they told us about some major changes that were going to be needed, specifically because I forgot one minor detail. Well, you'd think it'd be minor, but not so much. Something called a wall. Yeah, so in the drawings I drew walls, of course. However, I didn't know, because of my lack of experience in designing houses, just how much space walls took up. So I didn't calculate the depth of exterior walls and the depth of interior walls when I was calculating that initial footprint. They also told us about, for example, challenges with putting plumbing on exterior walls in climates like here in Maryland where it can get cooler. That was something we really didn't have to worry about in Atlanta, so that was kind of a new finding. They also told us that the way we had designed this initial footprint and floor plan, it was certainly doable and buildable, but really pretty darn expensive. There were just too many different juts around where the wall went instead of a more flat or rectangular type of overall footprint. So they gave us some ideas around that. So we knew we had our work cut out for us. So we went back and started looking at things again and tried simplifying. And as we're working on that, a couple days later, we get some really great news from the county that our administrative adjustment had in fact been approved. So that was some really, really great news. However, at the same time, we remembered, so to get this administrative adjustment, we had to submit that footprint on that site plan. And based on our meeting with the architects, the reality is that footprint just isn't necessarily going to work anymore. So that was issue number one, but it gets even better. And by better, I don't really even mean better. Here's the deal. Remember how a while back we talked about disturbance? That was a while ago, right? Where we had to stay within 5,000 square feet of disturbance to avoid having to go through a much more lengthy process called a site development plan. Yeah, well, here's the deal. After we submitted for the first administrative adjustment, we had our civil engineer go ahead and calculate what the disturbance was going to be based on that footprint. And here's what that plan looks like, okay? And of course, this will be on the blog. Now look over here. See this number? 4,944 square feet of disturbance, right? Yeah, it's under 5,000. But the problem is, it's really darn close. So we know, first of all, that we're going to have to rework the footprint to make it something that's going to work. But this is where it gets a little scary. With 4,944 square feet of disturbance, if a bulldozer goes a few feet over to the left or the right, or if a bush was unaccounted for or something, we're going to go over our 5,000. We could have our project shut down. We could have to pay some heavy-duty fines. And there's just really not a whole lot of good news that comes out of that. So come back next time. We'll tell you what we had to end up doing. And yeah, it definitely wasn't what we had originally planned on. But in the meantime, I hope you have a really great day. Thanks and see you soon.